it's the 1st of June, and June being Pride Month, that's the month where the LGBTQ communities come together to commemorate the impact of their history and the civil rights. And this stems back to the Stonewall riots of June 28th, 1969 in New York. Worth a read up, very interesting. So I thought we'd base our art workshop today on an openly gay artist, an iconic artist around that time or shortly after, named Keith Haring. So for many, Keith Haring brought gay art and safe sex onto the streets, and in particular on the streets of New York and into galleries. And Haring's work defined the 90s, but also incorporated gay sexuality and AIDS awareness into the art in a way it had never been before, and it has never been since. So his influences ranged from Picasso to Walt Disney. And after moving to New York in the late 1970s, the music, the hip-hop music and the graffiti that were in the streets and around about New York influenced him further. And then he soon became known for tagging subway billboards, backboards that weren't used, with his iconic line and figure drawings, all made with chalk. He got arrested numerous times, but they could never charge him because these images were only temporary. And that's what Haring believed in. You did a piece of art, you finished it and moved on, and you never ever dwelled on the piece of art. So he'd complete a huge, great tarpaulin of work in one day, and then that was it, done and dusted. He'd move on to the next one. So he believes art should be accessible to everybody, not just the affluent who frequented the museums and galleries. And a lot of Haring's work did mirror the struggles of sexual identity and the freedom of sexuality. And despite his newfound fame, Haring remained committed to working for such causes as National Come Out Day, World AIDS Day and ACT UP. He was diagnosed in 1987 with AIDS himself, at a time when the disease was still a real taboo. But it didn't stop him working. He then produced work specifically for HIV awareness and safe sex, work that was unapologetically in your face, with very graphic images of male bodily parts and sexual activities and positions. Sadly, he eventually did die in 1990 of AIDS-related complications at the young age of 31. So it would be interesting to see what his art would have been today at the age of 61. So his art was very focused on these little dancing figures he had, and the baby figures, and his iconic dog figure. So if you research him, you come up with these little funky images, and they were very flat images, very basic, flat colour, and childlike and cartoony. But how he got movement into his paintings was, the figure was quite flat, but then he put these little movement marks around the figures, and then that brought in a fluidity to the painting and some movement into the painting. So there, if you research him, you'll see all the little figures. But I thought we could incorporate his style into our own picture of not necessarily a figure. So I took a little bird picture, like so, off the Google Images, and I've transferred these into these iconic kind of figures that he would do. So, simple way to do it is, I've used a backwash on my picture, which is the LGBTQ rainbow colours. So it's purple, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. And I've done that all the way up on a little light wash. So if I show you what to quickly up with a wash, so purple, and then we have the blue, and we come in with our green. This is just watercolour. You can, by all means, it'd be great with acrylic, but just for ease I'm doing it with watercolour. And then after the green comes the yellow, And blend it in as you go up so there's no harsh lines. And then we've got the orange. And then we come in with the red at the top. There we go. So I would leave that to dry now. Got your little wash. So that's drying in the rainbow colours. So once it's dried, then I would pencil. I penciled the little images, just the bird images I wanted, but simplified them. So rather than all the detail of the feathers and the all the little claws and things, just simplify it down and make a basic shape. So if you do it in pencil first and colour the heavy bits you want painting in before you put your marker on, or you could paint the lines on, but if you're using marker it will bleed if you if it's a water-based marker. So we'll put some dark colour on there, and then let's do that bit there, little stomach there. So yeah, so he was very a great activist for the LGBTQ communities, and as I say, he was probably one of the first openly gay artists before the Stonewall riots. Artists and people in the arts world tend to be stay underground kind of thing. So you do whatever colour you want on your area, and then I just got a permanent marker, and then I went in with outlining it, and you can use felt tip. On this one, this was felt tip, and the felt tip just bleeds into the watercolour paper gorgeous and makes it all nice and smooth. So if you've got some nice Sharpie pens or even watercolour based pens, they will bleed into the paper and make lovely smooth. So you basically get some nice dark, and then another one there, and then you just, so once you've got all your drawing down around the main images, then you bring in your movement lines, your fluidity lines, and don't touch the lines, so they'd just be all little separate lines like so. Little movement one there, dotted lines. So keep the lines nice and sharp and separated like so, and just fill it all in with whatever you want to do, what little images. So here's the one that I finished earlier, and another one. So you can see all the little lines here, and just have fun playing around with the lines. And that's basically what his approach was. It was very cartoonish, very basic and childlike, but the majority of his paintings did have very adult themes underlying in their subject matter. So yeah, have a research, have a look, and yeah, great Pride Month. So yeah, see you soon. Bye.